The winter storm had rolled in faster than expected, swallowing the city in a white, howling blur. Most people hurried home, heads down, driven by the promise of warmth and shelter. But Adrian Hale was still at work, because Adrian Hale was always at work. He stepped out of Hale Corp Tower with his 7-year-old daughter bundled in a bright red coat beside him. Lily clutched her stuffed bunny under one arm, crunching through the snow with small, enthusiastic steps. "Daddy, can we get hot chocolate?" she chirped. "Of course," he said, his stern CEO voice melting into something gentler meant only for her. "Extra marshmallows." But as they neared the sleek black town car waiting at the curb, Lily suddenly stopped. Her mittened hand tightened around his. "Daddy, look." At first, Adrian didn't see anything, just the swirling snow and the glow of the streetlight. Then his eyes dropped lower. A girl, barely more than a teenager, was curled against the side of his building, knees hugged to her chest, fingers stiff and blue. Her clothes were far too thin for winter, her hair tangled with ice crystals. She shivered uncontrollably, breaths coming in shallow, frantic puffs. Adrian's jaw tightened. Homelessness was common downtown, but rarely did anyone linger near his building. The security guards usually kept the entrances clear. But tonight's storm had driven even the forgotten into desperate corners. "Let security handle it," he murmured, more to himself than to Lily. Lily stepped forward, her small voice trembling. "She's freezing. She shouldn't be here," he said gently, trying to guide his daughter toward the car. But Lily dug in her heels. "Daddy, please help her." Those 4 words struck deeper than any boardroom attack ever had. Adrian exhaled sharply, a sigh of defeat and maybe something else. Compassion wasn't a weakness, but it was something he'd taught himself to lock away after years of running an empire and raising a daughter alone. He knelt beside the girl. "Hey," he said softly. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes flickered open, storm gray, startling against her pale face. She flinched at the sound of his voice, as if expecting anger instead of concern. "Please don't make me leave," she whispered. I'm sorry. I just needed to get out of the wind. I'll go now." Her legs trembled violently when she tried to stand. Adrian caught her before she fell. "You're not going anywhere," he said, voice low but firm. "You need warmth, a doctor, food, and no," she protested weakly. "I'll be fine. I'm used to it." Lily knelt beside her, placing her small hand on the girl's freezing arm. "You're shaking so much." The girl's gaze softened at the child's concern. Tears gathered on her lashes, freezing before they could fall. Adrian made the decision in that moment. He scooped the trembling girl into his arms, feeling every sharp angle of her malnourished frame. "My driver will take us home," he said. "You're staying with us tonight." No arguments. She stared at him in disbelief. Why would you help me?" Before Adrian could answer, Lily did it for him. "Because Daddy always helps people who need it. Even when he pretends he doesn't." Adrian swallowed, his throat tight. "Let's get you warm," he said quietly. The girl nodded, exhausted, her head resting against his shoulder. She didn't know it yet, but the moment she whispered, "Please help her," Lily Hale had changed all of their lives forever. The limousine's interior lights glowed softly, a warm contrast to the storm raging outside. The driver hurried around to open the door as Adrian carried the trembling girl into the car. Lily scrambled in after them, settling into her seat with wide, worried eyes. Adrian gently lowered the girl onto the leather bench. She immediately curled in on herself, arms wrapped around her torso, teeth chattering. Snowflakes melted on her skin, leaving beads of cold water trailing down her cheeks. "Turn the heat all the way up," Adrian instructed sharply. "Yes, sir," the driver replied. Warm air filled the cabin within seconds, but the girl still shivered violently. Adrian shrugged off his thick wool coat and draped it over her shoulders. She flinched at the sudden warmth, then blinked up at him in confusion. "This is too much. I can't take your coat." "You can, and you will," he said firmly. "You're hypothermic." Lily reached into the emergency blanket compartment, something she insisted they kept stocked, just in case. She tugged out a silver thermal blanket and handed it to her father. "Daddy, wrap her, like when I had a fever." Adrian's expression softened. "Good idea, sweetheart." He draped the thermal blanket around the girl, tucking it gently around her sides. She sucked in a shaky breath, overwhelmed. "No one has ever done this for me," she whispered. Lily stared at her with a mixture of curiosity and sadness. "What's your name?" The girl hesitated as if unsure whether she should even claim one. "Mara," she finally murmured. "Mara Quinn. That's a pretty name," Lily said with a small smile. "I'm Lily, and this is my dad. He's bossy but nice." Mara whispered, a ghost of a smile flickering on her lips. "Seems like it." Adrian cleared his throat. "I'm not bossy. You're literally boss of everything," Lily said, swinging her legs. "That's like the definition of bossy." Despite himself, a quiet breath of amusement escaped him. Mara watched the exchange with wide, uncertain eyes. There was warmth here, a kind she hadn't felt in years. Maybe ever. But as the car sped through the snowy streets toward the city's wealthiest district, her face tightened with unease. You don't have to take me to your home," she said suddenly, panic rising. "Just drop me anywhere warm. A shelter. I don't want to cause trouble." "You're not," Adrian said, voice low and resolute. "I'm not leaving you on the streets in a blizzard. But you don't know me." "That's irrelevant. What if I'm dangerous?" Without missing a beat, Lily said, "You're not." Mara's throat bobbed as she swallowed back emotions she couldn't name. No one had ever defended her so instantly. Arriving at the penthouse, the car pulled up to the entrance of Hale Tower's residential wing, private, secure, ultramodern. Adrian stepped out first, then helped Mara to her feet. She wobbled, and his hand caught her elbow. Inside the private elevator, Mara stared at the polished marble, the gold paneling, the security scanner that required Adrian's fingerprint and iris scan. "You live here," she breathed. "Yes," he answered. "Top floor." I don't belong in a place like this." Lily took her hand. "You do today." When the elevator doors opened, Mara's breath caught. The penthouse stretched out like a luxury magazine spread, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing the storm-blanketed skyline, soft lighting, warm wood floors, and a fireplace already crackling with heat. The entire space seemed too beautiful to exist, especially for someone who had slept on concrete hours earlier. Mara's knees buckled slightly. "Oh my God." Adrian stepped beside her. "Let's get you to the bathroom. You need a warm shower and dry clothes." Mara stiffened. I don't want to dirty anything." "You won't," Adrian said, voice firm but gentle. "You're safe here." Her eyes filled with tears she desperately tried to blink away. "No one said that to me in a long time." Lily tugged her hand. "Come on. You can use my fluffy towels. They're pink." Mara laughed weakly, a fragile sound. "Pink sounds nice." As Adrian watched the two girls disappear down the hallway, Lily chatting happily, Mara moving like a scared animal unsure if kindness was a trap, he felt something twist in his chest. He had brought her inside to help. But a single thought settled heavily in his mind. This girl is going to change everything. Steam filled the marble bathroom, fogging the mirror and softening the harsh lines of Mara's reflection. She stood beneath the rainfall showerhead, hot water pouring over her skin like something she didn't deserve. For the first full minute, she didn't move, just stood frozen, letting the heat seep into her bones. Then her knees buckled. She braced both hands against the wall, head bowed, water pouring over her tangled hair and thin shoulders. Warmth felt foreign, too gentle, too merciful. It was easier to endure cold. Cold expected nothing. Cold didn't ask who she really was. Her breath shuddered. Why did they help me? Why him? Why now? Mara squeezed her eyes shut as memories clawed their way up. Sleeping in abandoned stairwells, counting coins to buy stale bread, the night her backpack was stolen along with everything she owned. And then tonight, kindness. A child's hand in hers. A powerful man treating her like she mattered. She covered her mouth to stifle a sob but failed. The sound escaped. Raw, aching, torn from somewhere deep. She cried until her chest hurt, until the water washed away every tear before it had the chance to fall. Meanwhile in the kitchen, Adrian stood at the stove, sleeves rolled back, stirring a pot of soup he hadn't made in years. Cooking was rare for him. Life at the top didn't leave room for domestic comforts, but tonight, something felt different. His mind wouldn't settle. Every image of Mara replayed. Her shaking hands, her stubborn protests, her eyes too old for someone so young. She's hiding something, He could feel it in the way she flinched at gentle tones, the way she watched exits more than people. But he didn't need answers tonight. She needed safety more than explanations. Lily sat on the counter swinging her legs. Do you think she'll like tomato soup, Daddy? I hope so. Do you think she's scared? Yes, he admitted. Lily hugged her bunny. I think she's nice. Adrian stirred the soup quietly. He hoped Lily was right. Back in the bathroom, Mara finally stepped out of the shower, wrapping herself in Lily's oversized pink towel. It was soft, too soft. She felt like she would stain it just by touching it. Her reflection in the mirror startled her. Clean skin, damp hair falling around her shoulders, cheeks flushed from warmth. She almost looked like a real girl. Someone who belonged somewhere. But she knew better. On the counter, Lily had left a neat stack of clothes. Leggings, a soft sweater, warm socks. Mara touched the fabric reverently, her throat tightening. She slipped into them slowly, almost afraid they would tear or vanish. When she opened the bathroom door, warm air from the penthouse washed over her. It smelled like soup, firewood, and something faintly expensive she couldn't name. She moved down the hallway silently. Her footsteps were so soft Adrian didn't hear her until she spoke. At the kitchen entrance, I'm finished. Adrian turned, and for the first time he saw her fully, not hidden under layers of grime and cold. Clean, wrapped in soft colors, hair damp and curling slightly at the ends. She looked young, too young, but she also looked like someone who had lived a lifetime in the dark. Lily hopped off the counter and ran to her. You look so pretty. Mara flushed. Thank you. Come sit, Adrian said gently, pulling out a bar stool. You need to eat. She hesitated, fingers twisting in the hem of the sweater. Are you sure? Positive. He placed a bowl of steaming soup in front of her. Mara stared at it like it was a miracle. She lifted the spoon with trembling fingers, took a careful sip, and froze. Then she inhaled sharply, shoulders shaking. Mara, Adrian asked, alarmed. It's just. Her voice cracked. It's warm. Lily frowned. Soup is supposed to be warm. Mara laughed. A broken, watery sound. I know. I just haven't. She stopped, swallowed hard. I haven't had a hot meal in months. A silence settled. Not awkward, but heavy with things unspoken. Adrian sat across from her. You're safe now. Eat as much as you want. Her eyes lifted to his, gray meeting deep brown. Vulnerable meeting steady. I don't know how to thank you, she whispered. You don't need to. But she shook her head. No one helps someone like me without wanting something, she said quietly. People don't just help. Lily tilted her head. We do. Adrian's gaze sharpened. Mara, you're not someone like you. Whatever that means, whatever made you believe that, you're wrong. Her breath hitched, and in that moment, as she stared at him across the kitchen island, soft light, warm food, safety she didn't trust, Adrian felt the truth settle deep inside him. This wasn't temporary. He wasn't letting her go anytime soon. And Mara, for the first time in years, wasn't sure she wanted to run. The guest bedroom was a soft cocoon of warm light and quiet luxury. Crisp sheets, a plush duvet, pillows stacked neatly, a window overlooking the glowing, snow-drowned city below. It looked like a hotel suite, peaceful, elegant, untouched. Mara stood frozen at the doorway, damp hair brushing her shoulders, fingers gripping the edge of the sweater Lily had lent her. She didn't step inside. Adrian noticed. Something wrong. Her throat bobbed. This room, it's too nice. Too much. Her voice wavered. I can sleep on the couch. Or the floor. I'm used to. No, Adrian said gently but with the firmness of a man used to being obeyed. You're sleeping in a bed. She flinched at the word bed, as if it was a memory rather than a place. Lily, who insisted on escorting Mara to the room, puffed her cheeks. Everyone needs a snuggly bed. Even princesses. I'm not a princess, Mara whispered. You look like one, Lily declared confidently. Mara blinked rapidly, her eyes growing glossy. Children had a way of breaking walls adults didn't even see. Adrian placed a hand on the doorframe, keeping a respectful distance. We want you to be safe and warm tonight. That's all. Mara nodded slowly, as though accepting a gift she believed she didn't deserve. She stepped inside, her bare feet sinking into the thick carpet. Good night, Mara, Lily waved, skipping down the hall. "Good night," Mara whispered. Adrian lingered a moment longer. "If you need anything, water, medicine, extra blankets, I'll be awake in the living room for a while." Mara hesitated. "Why are you being so kind?" He held her gaze. "Because you needed help, and because my daughter was right, you were freezing." Her eyes softened with something fragile and uncertain. "Good night, Adrian," he nodded. "Good night." He closed the door quietly behind him. Hours later, the penthouse sleeps. The penthouse had gone still. The storm outside thickened, wind clawing at the windows while the fireplace crackled softly in the dark living room. Adrian sat on the couch, laptop open but untouched. His thoughts wouldn't settle. She's exhausted, malnourished, on edge. Who hurt her? He rubbed his temple. He wasn't supposed to care this much, this quickly. But something about Mara, her quiet strength, the pain she didn't voice, hid an old, buried part of him he rarely let surface. He finally stood to check the doors, the security panel, habit more than necessity, and was just turning off the final lamp when a sound, soft at first, barely audible, a whimper. Adrian turned sharply toward the hall. Another sound followed, choking, broken, muffled. A nightmare. He moved instantly. Inside the guest room, Mara was tangled in the sheets, body curled tight, breath coming in frantic gasps. Her fingers clawed at the blankets as if fighting invisible restraints. "No. No. Please," she whimpered. Don't take it, please." Adrian froze in the doorway, heart lurching. Mara. She didn't wake. Her panic escalated, breaths turning sharp and ragged. Her whole body trembled. He crossed the room quickly but carefully, kneeling beside the bed. "Mara. Hey, wake up. You're safe. You're safe here." She thrashed harder. "Stop. Please. Please, not again." That word, again, cut through him. Adrian reached out and gently caught her wrist, steady but not restraining. "Mara, wake up. It's just a dream." Her eyes snapped open, wild, terrified, lost. For a second she didn't recognize him. Her chest heaved, sweat dampening her hairline. Her gaze darted around the room, searching for threats that weren't there. "It's okay," Adrian said softly. "You're safe. You're in my home. No one can hurt you here." Her breaths hitched. Then her face crumpled. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice shaking. "I didn't mean to wake you." "You didn't. I was still up." She hugged herself, curling inward. I don't usually dream like that. I mean, I do, but just not when there's people close by." Adrian's voice lowered. "Mara, what did you dream about?" Her eyes darted away. "Nothing important." Lie. She wasn't ready, but it was a lie. He didn't push. "You don't have to tell me tonight." She looked up at him through damp lashes, surprised. "You're not angry?" Of course not. People in her life must have reacted very differently. The thought made his jaw tighten. Mara pushed a shaking hand through her hair. "I shouldn't be here." "You should," he said calmly. "I don't belong in a place like this." "You do tonight." Her breath stopped. A soft, fragile sound escaped her lips, half laugh, half sob. She pressed a hand to her heart as if trying to steady it. "I don't want to sleep alone," she whispered before she could stop herself, cheeks flooding with heat. Not that I want you to stay. I don't want the dreams to come back." Adrian's chest tightened. "I can sit outside the door," he offered gently. "You'll hear me if you wake." Her relief was instant, and heartbreaking. "Thank you." So simple, so quietly desperate. As he stood, she sank back into the pillows, watching him with wide, vulnerable eyes. "Adrian," she whispered. "Yes, good night. And, thank you for saving me." He held her gaze for a long moment. "Good night, Mara." He left the door cracked open and sat on a chair in the hallway, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. Guarding her, without fully understanding why, he knew one thing for certain. He wasn't letting her fall back into the darkness. Not tonight, not ever.